and welcome. It's good to have you join us. It's another edition of NAFDAC and Your Health, where you get to know about the activities of NAFDAC, which is geared towards safeguarding the health of Nigerians. I am your host, Amanda Ugo. Today on NAFDAC and Your Health, our first segment will feature highlights from the recently held one-day stakeholders engagement organized by the Veterinary Medicine and Allied Products Directorate of NAFDAC on the proper use and misuse of pesticides. This will be followed by updates on the sustained surveillance and enforcement activities that took place in the Northwest Zone as well as Rivers and Nasarawa State. Food is essential to the survival and continued existence of man. This is why it is pertinent to ensure that the food products we consume are wholesome. Among the factors that guarantee the wholesomeness of these food products is ensuring that these food products are free from contaminants, particularly pesticide residue. This is part of the critical areas that NAFDAC, as the regulatory agency that controls the food we eat, looks into.
In terms of food safety, yes, I'm big on food because I take food as medicine. When you take medicine, it's once in a day. Some people don't take once, some people don't even take medicine, except once in 3 months when they are not always ill. But you eat food every day. You drink every day. And if what you take in every day is not healthy, then you will have a cumulative effect of the outcomes of such contaminants. For example, mold. Aside from the fact that some people are very reactive to mold in the environment, but if you take in food that has mold, a lot of granules sold by the roadside that have not been sold for more, within 2 days or 3 days, sometimes they can grow mold. And if somebody takes that in every day, you take in aflatoxin, mycotoxin, molds, they can cause cancer. Pesticide residue. When a pesticide is sprayed on vegetable or on vegetation or whatever, there should be time for that pesticide to wear off. You cannot harvest it quickly. When you give medicine to animals, antibiotics for example, you cannot sacrifice the animals immediately. If not, you will be taking the antibiotics in the animal. And if it is the pattern, then you start taking antibiotics in every day through meat. Before you know it, your body will start getting comfortable with low levels of that antibiotic. When you are ill, the protein around the bacteria will have gotten used to low levels. So when you now get very ill and you take medicine, they build that coat around themselves. That's antimicrobial resistance. Many people die all over the world. Unfortunately, we don't even have a record in Nigeria of it. That is why One Health is the approach that NAFDAC is taking now. Meaning, it's not just about drug. It is not just about food. It is about food and drug combined. Because through food, you are taking drug and it's affecting health. So we cannot separate the two in terms of the outcomes of either. Because we take food daily throughout life, That is why I put a lot of emphasis on food.
In further performing its obligation of ensuring that the phenomenon of pesticide residue in food products is controlled and that proper regulation is done, NAFDAC, through its Directorate of Veterinary Medicine and Allied Products, has several modalities in place, among which is regular engagement of stakeholders in the food production sector as well as food supply chain. One of the stakeholders' engagement took place recently at the agency's Lagos office complex. The engagement, which took place at the instance of the Veterinary and Allied Products Directorate, gathered stakeholders to enlightenment, discussion, and interaction. Among the stakeholders at the gathering were CropLife Nigeria, National Agro Input Dealers Association, Pest Control Association of Nigeria, and market associations, and so on. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, who joined the meeting virtually, spoke about the role of pesticide in the agricultural value chain and the great challenges their misuse can cause. The NAFDAC Director General stressed that she is particularly concerned about the level of rejects faced by goods exported from Nigeria to other countries as a result of their level of pesticide residue content and the dent this is causing to the image of Nigeria. She said this is why NAFDAC is not resting on its oars to combat this situation. Earlier in her welcome address, the director of the VMAP Directorate of NAFDAC, Dr. Ramatu Momodu, spoke about the significance of dialogue and collaboration with stakeholders in addressing these situations.
This event marks a crucial initiative aimed at fostering dialogue, collaboration to address the agency's growing concerns regarding the inappropriate use of pesticides in our food supply on commodities such as beans, crayfish, stockfish, fruits, and various agricultural products, where misuse poses significant threats to public health. The misuse of pesticides has emerged as a pressing issue with profound implications for public health, environmental sustainability, and agricultural resilience. While these chemicals are indispensable for safeguarding crops against pests and diseases, their inappropriate application can result in severe risks such as respiratory ailments and skin irritations, to organ damage and potentially long-term implications such as cancer and in some cases, death. NAFDAC remains deeply concerned about the impact of pesticide misuse on agricultural produce, particularly when residues exceed maximum residue levels, leading to contamination that jeopardizes regulatory compliance, international trade, and overall food safety standards. Furthermore, the environmental consequences are stark, with pesticides polluting soil, water sources, posing threats to non-target organisms like pollinators and aquatic life. Sustainable agricultural practices are paramount for the longevity of our food systems. This necessitates adopting safe and responsible use of pesticides, integrated pest management strategies, and promoting natural pest control methods. These measures not only enhance agricultural sustainability, but also fortify our resilience against future challenges.
The VMAP Directorate also explained that NAFDAC has always collaborated with stakeholders as a routine.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, through VMAP Directorate, has steadfastly collaborated with stakeholders, advocating for advancements in good agricultural practices, GAP, good warehouse practices, GWP, good manufacturing practices, to uphold food safety and food security and ensure the safety of crop protection products. The significance of this program cannot be overemphasized. NAFDAC is committed to safeguarding the health of our nation. Active engagement, active listening, mutual understanding, and collaborative efforts are indispensable in realizing our shared objectives and achieving positive outcomes for our organization and the markets we serve.
The Director, Food Safety and Allied Products, Mrs. Eva Edwards, Director, NAFDAC Central Laboratory, Oshodi, Dr. Tunde Sigweku, as well as the Director, Lagos Office of NAFDAC, Mr. Kayode Fagboyo, also took turns to talk about the exigency of the issue of discuss.
So essentially, what do we all want at the end of the day? We want a healthy, well-nourished Nigerian population. And this will only come from transforming our food systems. And that essentially means having safe, right quality, healthy and nutritious diets. And we all have critical roles to play to ensure that we get to that endpoint. We want to avoid food losses, food waste from all of our own. Thank you very much, because at the end of the day, you are all aligned to the NAFDAC purpose. And at the end of the day, our payoff says NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation. Let you know that we have a desk in the Food Safety and Applied Nutrition Directorate, which deals with exports. And so that desk, what it does, is called the National Inquiry Point for Food Safety. We offer guidance for exports to destination countries. And what this does is that it gives you the right information from the onset, so that it will guide you to what you require, so that those products are not rejected when they get to those destination countries. So that is some good information for you. I want to seize this opportunity to also recognize the food companies that are present today in the house. Because what you produce uses the raw materials coming from those who are preparing those raw materials, who are using the pesticides. And so it is the common vision, the common goal is that when these go into your production processes, you are taking all the necessary precautions to ensure that at the end of the day, the product that is available and offered for sale to the Nigerian population is safe. It will do them no harm when they consume it. It will not lead them to, over time, have negative health consequences.
Nigeria is the largest producer of beans in the whole of Africa, and the fourth largest in the world. So we have a lot of potential, but because of this misapplication of pesticides, we are having reject. And the country is losing a lot, billions of dollars as a result of this reject. So I think this program is coming at a better time. We have to be thinking of good agricultural practices along the value chain so that our products can be accepted in the international market.
From the data I've reviewed in the lab, I'm here to see one agrochemical that failed totally in terms of formulation. We have good quality agrochemicals in this country. So where is the problem coming from? Is how we handle and use. Because we have two labs in Oshodi that directly deal with agrochemical, the pesticide formulation lab and the pesticide residue lab. For the fact that your formulation pass in the pesticide formulation lab does not make the produce you use it to grow to pass in pesticide residue lab. And that is where the irony comes in. What is the problem within the gap? The problem is misuse. You don't take prescription from your friend. Take prescription from professional.
There were also paper presentations. First was the one delivered by Mr. Moye of the VMAP Directorate on behalf of the Director of the Directorate, Dr. Amatu Momodu, which was titled Pesticide Management in the Food Chain.
Incidents of unhealthy practices in storing food produce such as grains, crayfish, stockfish using prohibited or unapproved chemical pesticides has reached an alarming level, particularly in the marketplace. These practices are not limited to market vendors, but also include aggregators, exporters of grains and other agricultural produce. You know, whenever we talk about pesticides, we're not just looking at only the market. Though we have the market association here, we also have the aggregators, we also have the producers and exporters of these products. So whenever we talk about the effect of this thing, it's affecting the general agricultural sector, because when there is residue above the MRL in these products, When anybody consumes, it's going to have effect. You can't export, and you can't even store appropriately, because when you don't know how to store this produce, that is where you're going to have residues in your crops. So these are issues that have to do with generally the whole agricultural sector. Agricultural community worldwide are routinely exposed to pesticides. And on the consumer side, pesticide contamination is a significant safety concern in the fresh food market. So this is a very great challenge, and there's a need for us to do something about it.
Dr. Ifeoma Okafor, Deputy Director, Food Safety and Applied Nutrition, also made a paper presentation titled Good Storage Practices and Preservation of Food, with emphasis on distributors, retailers, and household use.
Principles of good storage practices. Cleanliness. Cleanliness, we all know what cleanliness means. Just keeping your warehouse or whatever facility you're using to store your product, keeping the areas, the storage areas very clean, free from dust, dirt, and debris. Regular cleaning will help prevent contamination and pest infestation. We heard about pest management, and pests will actually contaminate your products, whether grains or crayfish, whatever you're keeping in your warehouse. So we have to implement good pest control measures. He mentioned it, you have to put traps. You can go the extra mile of sealing those entry points for these rodents. Then temperature control is very, very critical. Most items have a specific temperature range where you should store them. And this temperature requirement is you should be able to maintain the temperature which is appropriate for the products you're storing to prevent spoilage, chemical degradation, or loss of efficacy. So if you are storing dry products, you should know that those dry products you should store in an environment which is dry, free of moisture, because high moisture will impact on your grains. Then humidity control. Most times, low humidity is good for your storage, If you store in high humidity, the possibility of molds growing is high. And therefore, if you notice your environment is moldy, you should try to use dehumidifiers or moisture-absorbing materials. At times, like calcium chloride, I don't know, people who do importation using containers, they used to put calcium chloride in those containers because it is hygroscopic. It absorbs atmospheric moisture. So we should try to see how we can use that in our warehouses. When you start noticing that those warehouses are humid.
The stakeholders also gave their goodwill messages and commendations to NAFDAC for the initiative. There was also a question and answer session as well as the interactive session, which enabled the stakeholders in attendance to ask questions on gray areas.
NAFDAC and Your Health continues after the short break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You are still watching NAFDAC and Your Health.
The Northwest Zonal Office of NAFDAC, under the leadership of the Director, Northwest Zone, Mrs. Josephine Doyle, again in a sustained enforcement routine, clamped down on sellers of counterfeit, falsified and expired products in Kaduna and Zaria local government areas of Kaduna State. This time, the enforcement exercise took them to patent medicine stores, supermarkets, illegal bakeries and yogurt producing factories producing under poor conditions. In the course of the exercise, some illegal outfits were caught producing violating products in Zaria and Kaduna metropolis without NAFDAC's marketing authorization and under poor good manufacturing practice (GMP), poor good storage practices (GSP), and poor good hygienic practice (GHP). These illegal and dangerous practices, according to the Northwest Zonal Director, could pose serious health risks to unsuspecting members of the public. The director and a team of regulatory officers from the Northwest Zonal Office placed on hold some of the illegal outfit production lines and mopped up expired products, food, cosmetic products in Zaria and Kaduna local government areas in Kaduna State during the routine surveillance and enforcement activities. All the unregistered, counterfeit and expired products found in the various premises visited were mopped up for destruction, and fines of the stipulated investigative charges were imposed on the violators to serve as deterrents to others who might want to imitate them. Mrs. Dalim further said that the current leadership of the agency is working hard to ensure that stakeholders are doing businesses without compromising standards and violating the laws to ensure the production of safe, quality and wholesome products. The offenders caught during the exercise included 2 illegal bakeries producing bread with potassium bromate, 1 yogurt producing facility with poor good manufacturing practice and poor good hygienic practice, where production was put on hold, and 6 supermarkets that had in stock unregistered and expired food and cosmetic products. Also raided were 4 patent stores. The Northwest Zonal Director warned those involved in the illegal and dangerous acts to desist, adding that anyone caught breaking the law of the agency will be sanctioned appropriately, as the agency is not relenting in its drive to safeguard the health of the public. She further advised members of the general public against patronizing unregistered and expired NAFDAC regulated products because of the potential health risk they could pose, including kidney failure, loss of hearing and so on. She said bread produced with potassium bromate and microbiologically contaminated yogurt can transmit diseases like diarrhea, cholera, dysentery, typhoid fever and cancer after prolonged exposure to toxins, and could even lead to death. She advised members of the general public to therefore always check for NAFDAC registration number, batch number, manufacturing date, best before date, storage condition, direction for use and other prepackaged food labeling requirements before purchasing NAFDAC regulated products. In the same vein, the Rivers State Office of NAFDAC recently shut down 4 illegal bakeries, while 2 unapproved bakery facilities were also shut down in Nasarawa State by the NAFDAC office in the state. That was NAFDAC Update. You have been updated.
That is all we have for you on this edition of the program. Another educative edition will come your way again next week. Meanwhile, if you have any information for NAFDAC that will aid its efforts to safeguard the health of Nigerians, please reach out to us.
You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700-162-3322. For complaints, call 0800-162-3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email reforms@nafdac.gov.ng or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded.
Do not be part of the criminal acts of producing, importing, distributing, marketing, advertising, or selling of unwholesome food products, fake drugs, cosmetics, and medical equipment. These acts pose great danger to the health of Nigerians. Till we meet again next week, stay safe.